Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. I really appreciate you being here with us today. We're going to be talking about key steps to transition success. Now, a few items before we jump in, I want to let you know that
Yeah.
because we're in webinar mode, we cannot see you or hear
From
you.
what I can
But we
read,
know you're out there, and
that
we do appreciate you being here with us today. So if you have any questions or comments, if you would just put those in the chat box, that's the easiest way for me to present the information and still be able to answer your questions. The other thing I want to let you know right off the bat is that we do record all of our webinars. So later on today, you will receive a link to that recording. You're also going to receive the slides that we go over today. Whatever email address that you used to register for this webinar is where you're going to be able to find that email. Okay. So again, I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We are a holistic special needs financial planning firm. We're located just outside of Houston in Sugar Land, Texas, but we work all across the United States. Today's webinar is not solely focused on Texas. There are some things that we're going to talk about that are state specific and some things that we're going to talk about that are federal. So stay tuned. Even if you're not in Texas, this is information that is going to be able to help you. We've been in business for over 30 years. Again, we serve families all across the United States. We're members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are nationally certified Social Security advisors. And I'm a chartered special needs consultant. So almost every client that we have has an individual in their life with some sort of disability. And it's rare to find a financial planning firm that focuses on this. So you are definitely in the right place. Today's webinar, we have Williams School, and Kara Huss is with us today to talk to us a little bit about Williams School. They helped us share this webinar and helped advertise it, and they're kind of co-hosting with us today. So Kara, can you tell us a little bit about Williams School?
Yes, so thank you, Michelle, for having us, and so thankful for the information that you've been able to provide to the community and to myself as well as I've learned alongside. So, um,
Thank you.
yes, I'm the executive director at Williams School. We are based in Austin. We are a nonprofit private school serving students from ages 2 to 22, both educational and therapeutic. So as you'll see there, our mission to provide a unique education for unique individuals and supporting them in their progress toward being more confident, more independent, and really connecting with those around them.
Now I have to ask, is the dog a part of the school?
The
Or
dog
is
is,
it
she's actually sitting at my feet currently. So we have a certified facility dog. Her name is Granita. She's almost 7 years old now. She's here every day working, helping. She helps with transitions, with anxiety,
a-
with being, a good distractor tool. She'll lay under chairs and in classrooms and help with calming. And she's definitely a fun thing to see on campus. So
it
yes.
sounds like she is a very, very good girl.
Yes, she's trained and placed with us through Canine for Companions, and so we see them. Yeah, we thoroughly enjoy having her. So as I mentioned, we believe given the right supports, all children can thrive. So there's we run a traditional school day hours, traditional school year calendar. However, we do offer a 7-week summer camp in order to provide consistency for those students who need the consistent therapies and consistent schedule. And for those that maybe are unable to participate in a more traditional summer camp placement for both our current students and students who are served in other locations during the school year. A little bit about who we serve. So we do primarily see students with autism, and we do also serve students with emotional disturbance, ADHD, Down syndrome. Ultimately, we see students who are really struggling with that traditional classroom setting, but need the school environment, need the group. Maybe they've been in one-to-one therapy, maybe they've been in a school setting, and they really need something in between. We keep a small class size, small student to teacher ratio, and really individualize the learning that we're doing while also involving speech, occupational therapy, behavioral therapy, all in one place throughout the day. As I mentioned, ages 2 to 22, and that 1-to-1 up to 1-to-4 ratio based on the needs of the students, with the class sizes sitting between 6 and 8, with 2 to 3 adults in those classrooms, along with our clinic team who's on site all the time, both BCBAs, speech therapists, occupational therapists, and registered behavior technicians who are providing clinical services collaboratively with our school services to not only provide all of those therapies in one spot to help with the kind of commuting of constantly pulling them out of school and taking them to therapies and all the things that you amazing parents are balancing every day, but also to give that support to our school team so that they can have the knowledge of both of those in the same spot.
Fantastic.
Again, accepting of all behavioral support needs or communication levels, academic supports. We do have students who need high levels of one-to-one due to really severe levels of behavior. And we have students who, for anxiety or trauma or many other reasons, just need a smaller classroom size and are excelling in their academics given that right environment that really helps them to thrive. We have a focus on reading, writing, math. We do work in the science and history electives, but we try to, in those times, work a lot on social development, social emotional growth, and group skills, taking more of a developmental approach versus grade placement approach. And then I mentioned that big focus on social emotional for us and antecedently teaching those skills and that whole child approach. Again, our amazing team, it's actually increased. I need to update these. We actually currently have 9 lead teachers, 9 teaching assistants, 3 additional classrooms that require a third staff who's a TA, also an RBT. And then we have registered behavior technicians, 3 BCBAs, SLPs, and an OT, all on site serving our typically 50 to 55 students. And there's our enrollment process. You'll receive these slides at the end, so I don't need to read all of this. You can also find them on our website. And there's a beautiful picture of Grenita as well. And I'll put my contact information in the chat, and I'll also try to watch for questions both for Michelle and for myself throughout the thing here. And feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. Again, we are in the Northwest Austin area.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. Now, there's a question for you in the chat box. Do you take students who require total care, like kids with Edwards syndrome?
Yeah, I'm not fully familiar with all the details of Edwards syndrome, so I don't want to outspeak too much. We do have students who need total care. We do not have nursing on site, and I always like families who have more medical pieces to, come for a tour, make sure that, everyone's comfortable with what that may require, and also making sure that that it aligns with the other students that may be in the classroom setups. But we do not have any kind of requirements saying yes or no, but really just trying to make sure that it's the right fit for the family, the students, and that that we can meet the needs that they need.
Right. And you mentioned that you're in the north. You're in which part of the city?
I would say Northwest Austin. I could put our address in here as well, but yes, we're in the kind of North Austin area.
Right. And you just have the one location.
Just the one location. Yes, correct.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for your help today, and for being here with us and sharing the information about Williams School. Now, getting into today's topic, today's webinar is about special needs planning and making sure that you have everything in line for your loved one and ready to go. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so it's really best to plan ahead for these things. And as experts in the special needs planning space, people come to us for protection plans for their family, lifetime care planning, transition planning. Of course, we do ABLE accounts, and we can help you understand how to use your ABLE account, what benefits and programs are available for your loved one and how to get signed up for that. But we also do everything that a traditional financial advisor would do for you. So we can help you think about cash flow needs and your retirement goals and all of the steps to planning for your own traditional financial future, but also everything that you need to know on the special needs side of the house so that you know that your loved one will be taken care of, not just for the rest of your life, but for the rest of their life as well. We're here to advocate for you and to educate you. And the reason we do this is because the owner of our company, Allison Scaberg, she's got 4 kids total with her husband, Jeff, and 2 of them have disabilities. And she's always been in financial planning straight out of high school. But when she was going through this with her own children, and she saw how difficult and how nuanced it is when you have a child with a disability, she decided to turn her whole company to focus on helping parents understand what needs to be done and how to plan for the future for their loved one. Out of the entire United States of America, there are over 263,000 financial advisors. But out of those 263,000 financial advisors, fewer than 200 of them focus on special needs planning. That's less than 0.1%. So if you're having trouble finding a financial advisor who understands special needs planning, or you're having trouble finding information from a reputable source, it's not a big surprise because there are very few people out there who truly take the time to become experts in this area, and that's what we've done. So we're here to help. So let's talk about how to get started with special needs planning. First, we're going to talk about developing a letter of intent for your loved one. You should definitely work with a special needs planning expert to help you formulate a plan and think about what you need to have in place for your loved one. And you also want to work with an attorney who focuses on special needs topics and really understands the nuances of the special needs trust, your will, and even guardianship and other topics like that. It's important that you have experts in both of these areas because it's so important and has such an impact on your child's future that you want to make sure that you don't talk to somebody who only dabbles in this or who doesn't really know all the ins and outs. Because if you have an expert, yes, it might be a little bit more expensive up front, but in the long run, you're going to save so much money and you're going to have the kind of future that you want. And you're going to know that the advice and expertise you're getting is correct. Start by gathering up any planning documents you already have, any planning you've already done for your retirement and for your child, and look at what you have in place. We can help you analyze those documents and make sure that things are done correctly. But the first step is to gather up all of those documents and to think about what you want your future to look like and what you want your family's future to look like. Do you want your child to be independent? Do you want your child to live at home with you as long as they possibly can? Do you want them to be able to have a job or a career, or do you think that that's just not going to be in the picture for them? Maybe they can get into some volunteer work, or maybe they're not going to work at all. Whatever you think your future looks like, start thinking about that. So the letter of intent. This is not a legal document. This is more like a love letter to your family. You write this letter of intent so that if something happens tomorrow, maybe you're crossing the street and you get hit by an airplane. You never know when something crazy could happen, right? So putting these things into a letter of intent will help whoever needs to step into your role as caregiver for your family. So let's say you're gone tomorrow and someone needs to step in and take care of your loved one. Well, you know more about them than anybody else on this planet. So we're going to need some advice from you to be able to help us take care of your child. So put it into writing, your family information, their medical history, who the doctors are, things like that. What benefits from the government they're already receiving, and what arrangements and accommodations you've already made for them. Think about their functional abilities, their routines, their interests, what traditions you have in your family, or what spiritual values you want your child to be taught. All of these things are very important. And you want to make sure that this document is saved in a place where somebody is going to be able to find it. Again, this is, you don't expect when it's going to happen. Nobody knows when it's going to happen and when their time is going to be up. So it's best to have this. If you have a grab and go binder, maybe you would put it in there. If you have a README file on your computer where all of this documentation is kept, maybe you should keep it there. And it's kind of can be a fun project, get your family involved in this. Get your individual with the disability involved and ask them, what do you think it's important for people to know about you? What do you want people to know? And ask the siblings as well, because they might see things that you don't, or they might have some insight to share. And it works out to be a good family project. Remember too, as we're going through, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat box and I'll get to as many of those as I possibly can. So one big question that we often talk about with our clients is, how is your child's care going to be funded? It's you already know it's expensive, and we understand that. And we know that the programs in the United States meant for people with disabilities do not cover everything, and sometimes they play hard to get. So think about the state and federally funded programs like SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, Medicare, and the state waiver programs. Those programs, when you have them in place, are going to help reduce your costs of care for your loved one. So it's very important that you do not jeopardize those benefits. You need to have a special needs trust in place, because that way, when you pass away, your assets can go into the special needs trust and be there to fund your child's care. And it does not count against them for these other benefits. Typically, if your child has more than $2,000 in the bank or in assets, they could lose Medicaid, they could lose their benefits, they could lose SSI. And so it's very important that you make sure that you don't jeopardize that. So if they have money going into the special needs trust, that's fine. If they have money in an ABLE account, that's another place where they're allowed to have some funds to help pay for their care without jeopardizing their benefits. So let's talk a little bit about those benefits. What about SSI? So many kids will not qualify for SSI until they turn 18. The reason is that before the child is 18 years old, SSI is going to look at the parent's income and assets. So if your income is above about $2,000 a month, and if you have more than one house or more than one car or more than $2,000 in assets, your child will not qualify for SSI benefits. Now, once they turn 18, that's when SSI, which stands for Supplemental Security Income, SSI would only look at your child's own income and assets after their 18th birthday. So what you want to do is apply as soon as they turn 18. You don't have to call your local office anymore. These days you can apply online, thank goodness. Unless you have some really uh, certain circumstances, they might want you to come in person, but in general, you can apply online. That link right there will be clickable when you receive these slides later on today. Once you start your application, the date is saved so that even if it takes a year for them to approve the benefits and get those benefits payments started, they will backdate your pay all the way to the day you started that application online. So that's very helpful and very helpful. Yeah, you do get those benefits. So when you apply online, before you get started, you want to make sure that you kind of gather together your loved one's information. They're going to ask for information about their doctors, any doctors that they're currently seeing. They're going to want the physician's name and address and phone numbers, all the contact info. So get that stuff ready. You're also going to want a list of their medications, their diagnoses, and when they were diagnosed. And you're going to want, if your loved one is working, to have pay stubs, at least 3 months of bank statements as well. So pay stubs, bank statements, doctor's information, diagnosis, and medical history is what they're going to be interested in finding out. Now, you also want to have evidence that shows that the child's disability started before they turned 22 years old. That's going to be very important for benefits later on in life when your child starts getting their childhood disability benefits or DAC benefits or SSDI. So it's good to have that up front so that in the future you don't have to worry so much. So you might want to even consider talking with your child's primary care physician to make sure that it shows in their record what their diagnoses are and what the history of that is and how they are impacted by that diagnosis. So when you apply for SSI benefits online, you can expect that the decision is going to take up to a year. Sometimes it can be even longer, but we're seeing about a year now. Again, when you do get qualified and those payments start coming, they do give you back pay. So that's a good feature. Now, the thing about the back pay is there's that $2,000 limit that I mentioned. If your child has more than $2,000 in their bank account, they could lose out on benefits. So what if the back pay puts you over that $2,000 limit? Well, it's okay because they understand that they did that to you and it's their fault. So they give you 9 months to get the back pay out of your child's account if it puts them over $2,000. Now, it's best to just go ahead and do it right away, put it into the ABLE account or something like that. But you can certainly call us and we'll help you decide what to do with those funds to make sure they're used to the best of their ability for your loved one. You might receive a denial letter. And sometimes parents freak out about this because you'll get a denial letter saying that your child does not qualify for SSI benefits. And here you have this child that you look at and you say they definitely should qualify. What's going on? Well, check closely on the top left-hand corner of that letter because it might be a denial for SSDI, which is that disabled adult child or childhood disability benefits. It's the same benefit, different names because they're slightly different programs. But your child should not qualify for SSDI first. It's really best if you get qualified for SSI when your child turns 18. And then after several years, when you turn on your Social Security retirement benefits, is when your child will be eligible for SSDI. Okay. And it's a different kind of benefit, a different program. When they receive SSDI, that will come along with Medicare after they've been receiving SSDI for 2 years. So back to SSI. After your local office, your local Social Security office has your file all together, the total application is put together, they're going to send it to Austin to the Disability Determination Services Office. Now, they're the people who will request medical records. They'll call the doctor's offices and get that medical record sent over and look for for evidence that your child has a disability. You can call DDS and you can ask, have you guys received the file? Do you have everything that you need? Do I need to call anyone and get you any more information? They used to be really good about answering their phones. I've heard that lately they're slowing down a little bit. So you might want to call a couple times, but that's up to you. Now, when you turn on your Social Security benefits as an adult, as usually in your 60s, but it can also happen if you pass away early or if you become disabled. When your Social Security retirement benefits turn on, your child will receive an amount equal to half of your benefit if you put them under your record. And this is because your child might not be able to work. So if they can't work themselves and earn their own Social Security, they can draw it from their parent. So sometimes they refer to it as disabled adult child or CDB, SSDI. Like I said, those are all kind of the same thing. 24 months after they begin receiving this benefit, they will be eligible for Medicare. They don't lose Medicaid, so they'll be dual eligible. They'll have both Medicaid and Medicare. Now, when you pass away, your child's benefit will go from half of yours to 75%. Now, there are family maximums. If, maybe the male spouse was the head of household and he was the main breadwinner. Mom stayed at home and took care of the child. So when the spouse turns on his benefits, both mom and child get an additional benefit. That's usually not a problem. It's when you have more than two people drawing off the same record, you can come up to the family maximum. And that's not a problem. It's okay for you to get the family maximum, but it could, have an impact on how much your family gets from those benefits. Now, again, you need to make sure that your kids' money and your money is in the right buckets. You don't want to leave anything directly to your child. It needs to go to the special needs trust. So, for example, your life insurance, you might have it set up to where if you pass away, your spouse gets everything. And if your spouse passes away, it gets split up between your children. Well, if you've got three children and you're thinking a third, a third, and a third, that's fine. But you're going to have to leave it to Ringo and George and the Special Needs Trust for the benefit of Paul, not Ringo, George, and Paul. If you leave money straight to your special needs family member, they will miss out on other benefits. And make sure that grandma and grandpa know that as well, or any aunts and uncles, or anybody who wants to leave money for your loved one. It has to go to the trust, not directly to your child. Now, you do need an attorney to set up the special needs trust for you. They can also set up guardianship and help you with your will. And that's why it's so important that you have an attorney who really knows what they're doing. I mean, you could have a cousin who is a real estate attorney or a divorce attorney, and maybe they want to help you out and do some of this work for you pro bono. Well, pro bono is supposed to be free, but if you have to go back and spend even more money to fix any mistakes that are made, well, it's going to cost you more than it would have cost in the beginning just to do it correctly. So work with qualified attorneys on these documents. Now let's talk about ABLE accounts. I still don't see any questions in the chat box, so I'm going to plow right along. ABLE accounts are a tax-advantaged savings plan for your individual with a disability. There is an investment piece to this plan. So you're paying money in, that money goes to purchase mutual funds. The income that comes from the mutual funds is not taxed. The beneficiary is the able account owner, but that's okay because these accounts are made for people who have a disability. Right now, the rule is that they have to have a disability that started before age 26. Now, at the end of this year, if you've missed that cutoff, they're going to go ahead and expand the ABLE program to people who have a disability that started before age 46. So they're about to change that number. But again, the ABLE account does not jeopardize their other benefits. It does not count against them for SSI or Medicaid. There are some contribution and distribution rules. So let's get into those. First of all, with some accounts, like a HSA or um, certain kinds of accounts, sometimes you get a tax break for putting money into the account. ABLE accounts typically don't do that. They definitely do not have a tax break for the federal level. There might be a tax break on your income taxes at the state level for the ABLE account. However, here in Texas, we don't have state taxes, so there's no benefit to the ABLE account on your taxes. You can use an ABLE account from almost any state. You don't have to use the one that is sponsored by the state that you live in, typically. And you can use the ABLE account to pay for anything that can count as achieving a better life experience for your loved one. It doesn't cause any trouble with SSI, even if you use it to pay for rent, food. You can take cash out. You can use it for financial services. You can use it for transportation, even vacation and clothing and fun stuff like that. Anything your child needs, you can use the ABLE account to pay for it. Now, contributions to your child's ABLE account. Each child can have one ABLE account if they have a disability that started before age 26. Per ABLE account, you can contribute $19,000 this year. It's not per person putting the money in, it's per ABLE account. You don't ever want the ABLE account to go above $100,000 total, because if it does, that's when Medicaid would say, you have enough money, you don't need our help anymore, and they would cut you off from services. So $19,000 yearly limit on how much you can put in, $100,000 total limit on how much you can put in. Now, there is an exception. If your child is working, they can put in some more money, depending on how much more they're working. Again, it's an investment product, and the growth on those investments is tax-free. One other thing that you need to know about the ABLE account is that it does have a Medicaid reimbursement clause. If there's money left over in the ABLE account when your child dies, Medicaid can come back and claim reimbursement for funds that they have paid to care for your loved one. Now, on the flip side, you have the special needs trust. The ABLE account, remember, there's a limit on how much you can put in, but you can use it for pretty much anything you need. With the special needs trust, you cannot use the special needs trust for rent, mortgage payments, real estate taxes, utilities like gas, electricity, and water. You cannot use it to pay for homeowners insurance if it's required by your mortgage lender. It cannot be used to pay for condo charges. You shouldn't use it for cash or food. If you are on SSI benefits and you use your special needs trust for these things, you're going to reduce your SSI payment by 1/3. So let me reiterate. ABLE account, use it for anything. Anything ABLE. But there are limits on how much you can put in. Special needs trust, Don't use it on these items, but there is no limit on how much you can put in. You can put millions into the special needs trust. It's way better to use your special needs trust as a long-term savings and use the ABLE account as a short-term savings. The ABLE account is more save to spend, and the special needs trust is save for the far future. Okay, I hope that's making sense. Now, we know it keeps you awake at night thinking about who is going to take care of your loved one when you can't do it anymore. We want you to know that there are great educational programs out there after high school. There are residential and transition and day programs, and there's great vocational programs too. If you think that your child might be able to hold a job. There's great training programs and where they test and they see what might be keeping them from being able to work. And then they give them training to correspond with those obstacles. They can even help pay for things like classes. If they determine that your child needs a special college class to be able to get a job, sometimes the Texas Workforce Commission can pay for those classes. So there's a lot out there. We want you to tour these programs and especially the residential communities before you make a decision. And you might have to put yourself on a waiting list for those. So tour them early, see what feels like a good fit for your family, and get on the waiting list. And just be very, very careful. A lot of people think, oh, my child's sister. Okay, so let's say we have Jacob and his sister, Sarah. Little Jacob needs care, but Sarah will take care of him when they get older and I can't do it anymore. So I'm not worried. Well, that situation can work and it can be fantastic. But sometimes Sarah might have a feeling of resentment or obligation, like she doesn't really want or love the idea of taking care of her brother anymore. But when she was a child, she said she would do it, so now she feels obligated. Maybe Jacob, he's seen his sister as partner in crime and best friend for all of these years. He might feel a little bit resentful about Sarah jumping into the role of caregiver and acting more like a parent. That you're not my mom, you can't tell me what to do type of mentality could come out. So really, if a sibling is going to go into the role of caregiver, just make sure that you are giving that sibling the tools and the funds that they need to take care of their loved one. I do see a question in the chat box going back to the special needs trust. What can the special needs trust pay for? Well, it can't pay for housing or food, utilities, or cash. So basically, the things that your child needs for everyday life should not be paid for by the Special Needs Trust. You should be using the SSI payment to pay for those things. But the Special Needs Trust can pay for medical needs, clothing, computers, cars, travel, therapies, medications, transportations, devices, household modifications, dental work, really anything else besides these things. And remember, this rule only applies while your child is on SSI still. So after you turn on your Social Security retirement or after you pass away, that rule doesn't apply anymore. So your child, after you pass away, will be able to use that special needs trust to really pay for anything that they need. And that's why we look at the special needs trust as long-term savings to be used after you are retired or passed away. Your child can use these benefits after you're gone. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's jump into the waiver programs. Okay, each state has different waiver programs that are meant to help pay for things for your loved one and help waive off some of the costs of caring for an individual with a disability. We want everybody to get on the waiting list as soon as possible. Some of these waiver programs have wait times up to 20 years in the state of Texas. Now, every state has their own waiver programs. Some states have a 2 or 3 or 5 year wait. Some states maybe 10 years. Some states don't have any wait time. They just, I mean, as soon as you can prove residency, you can get your benefits. And this is not, to be political or to share an opinion on this one way or the other. But the fact is that we're seeing that many of the states that are legalizing marijuana use, they're using the funds from taxing that to pay for these kinds of programs and have very short waiting lists. So if you're looking to move to a state with a really short waiver wait list, check out those states that have legalized marijuana use. Now, here in Texas, you can go to yourtexasbenefits.com to get on the waiting list and to make sure you're on the waiting list and to see where you are on the list. So you can go to that website, create an account in your individual's name, not your name. This is for them, and these benefits are for them. So you want to open the account with their name. And then you can look to see what waiting lists they are on and where they are on the wait. It used to be that you had to call your local authority to get on the waiting list, but you don't have to do that anymore. However, it might be a good idea to call these places anyway to familiarize yourself with some of the services that they offer. So we have listed out here for MDCP, class, and DBMD. There's an 877 number to call. Now, MDCP is for medically dependent children. DBMD is for deaf, blind, and multiple disabilities. Those two wait lists are a lot shorter because they serve a smaller number of people. However, every person here should make sure they are on the class waiver waiting list. That waiver applies to almost everybody with any kind of disability. So it's very important to make sure that you're on the class waiting list. And of course, it is a very long wait. Now, the other waiver programs like HCS, Texas Home Living, and Community First Choice, these are available to a large group of people. You used to have to contact your local authority or your LIDA to get on those lists. It's still a very good thing to be involved with your local authority, to know who they are, to make sure that you're getting all the services from them that you can. So in order to find your local authority, and that's going to be like Bluebonnet, Texana, the Harris Center, ACOG, what else? What else? TRICARE. No, TRICARE is military. Tri-County. Anyway, there's different LIDAs for almost every county. You want to make sure that you're in touch with yours, just to make sure that you are getting all the benefits that you can be. And then finally, Star Plus has an 877 number. They are for people who are age 21 and above who are medically dependent. Okay, so this is a listing of the Medicaid waiver programs that can apply to children or adults with disabilities and who they serve. And I'm just going to kind of leave this up as I get to this question I see in the chat. They're asking about SSI and SSDI and the Special Needs Trust. And they say once you retire or die, then they can use the Special Needs Trust for basic needs like rent or utilities. Yes, that is exactly correct. As long as your child is not on SSI anymore, you can use the Special Needs Trust for rent and utilities and anything you need. But if they're still receiving SSI benefits and they use their Special Needs Trust to pay for those items, it will cut their benefits by 1/3. Okay, so class, HCS, Texas Home Living, Community First Choice, those are open to pretty much everybody. Those are going to be really long waiting lists for the waiver programs. DBMD, again, is for deaf and blind and another disability. MDCP is for children 20 years and younger who are medically fragile. They have to be, nurse 24/7 nursing care needed pretty much to be able to get MDCP. Now, Star Plus is where you transfer to if you're on MDCP and you turn 21, you go over to Star Plus instead. That's for adults over, age 21 and above, to keep them out of nursing home and facilities like that. And then finally, Yes. Yes is a little bit different. This is a program for individuals who are under age 19, so all the way up to age 18. But the diagnosis, the primary diagnosis has to be something mental, emotional, or behavioral. So this isn't going to be for somebody who has Down syndrome and autism and once in a while shows signs of anxiety. This is for somebody whose main diagnosis is going to be the anxiety or some kind of schizophrenic episodes or bipolar or something like that. Okay. Other things to keep on your radar. First of all, we do these webinars 2, 3 times a week, usually. And we are always here to answer your questions and to elaborate on these things. You are welcome to schedule an appointment, a one-on-one appointment with me, completely free of charge, where I can answer anything you need to know about special needs planning, the future cost of care estimate, the interest lists for those waiver programs, the differences between SSI and SSDI, how and when to sign up, how to use and get an ABLE account, how to designate beneficiaries for your assets to make sure that you don't jeopardize your child's benefits. The special needs trust. Now, we don't help you set them up. That is a job for our attorney friends. What we can help you understand about your special needs trust is how much money needs to be in there and how are you going to find that money to fund it. And a special note about the special needs trust. If child support is a thing in your life and it goes beyond age 18, that money needs to be redirected to a special needs trust for your child. Otherwise, it will be counted as income to your child as soon as they turn 18, and that will jeopardize their benefits. Okay, so it's pretty easy to change that as long as both parents are on board. You would just go modify your divorce decree to have that child support redirected to a first party special needs trust. Okay. Residential living communities, they're all over the place. There are great communities all over the United States. So dig into those, find some resources. We have a lot of resources and we try to share as much as possible. Of course, our clients receive all the information. But check out those residential living communities and see what might be a good fit for your loved one. There can be waiting lists, so go tour them and get a feel for where you want to be. Think about guardianship. There are alternatives to guardianship, like supported decision making, powers of attorney, things like that. You can begin the guardianship process with an attorney when you are within 6 months of your child's 18th birthday. And then finally, think about, like I said, what's going to happen after high school. There's a lot of options out there, and you don't want your child just to graduate to sitting on the couch. This link will take you to our upcoming webinars so that you can pre-register. That way you're going to get reminders that the webinar is coming up. You're going to be able to see our topics and sign up for the ones you're really interested in. And if you happen to miss the live presentation, you'll still get that email with the link to the recording and all the slides. So it's a great idea to sign up for our upcoming webinars. I see another question in the chat box, so let's tackle this one. If the child is getting $1,000 in SSI and the parent turns on Social Security of $2,000 a month, would the child get his SSI and half of the parent's Social Security? No. Your child will get, usually, the SSI will turn off and they'll switch to the benefit under the parent's record, which is usually higher than SSI. You get whichever one is higher. Now, if the parent's benefit is not higher than the SSI amount, remember right now that amount is $967 a month. So maybe the parent didn't work that much and their benefit is only $500 for the child. Well, they're not going to make the child only have $500. What they would do is give the child the $500 from SSDI, from their parents' record, and a portion of the SSI to bring them up to that minimum $967 a month. Okay, so as long as your child is not working, they don't have more than $2,000 in the bank, um, they don't have more than one car or one house, and they have been deemed as having a disability under the eyes of Social Security, then they should be able to get at minimum $967 a month. And if your child meets those criteria and maybe they're getting only $600 and something a month, you should definitely set up an appointment with us and let us walk you through what the reasoning for that might be and how we might be able to help you get the full amount that your child can get. This is our entire team at Consolidated Planning Group. It's two sets of husband and wife financial advisors, but all four of us work as a collaborative team on every single client. So that means that you don't just get one financial advisor when you're working with us. When you work with CPG, you get four financial advisors and special needs experts backing you up. Again, we're members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We're National Social Security Advisors, and I'm a chartered special needs consultant. We've got a great staff who keep us on our toes and keep the paperwork flowing and the appointments coming. And we do offer this free consultation. So if I don't get to your question, or if you don't want to share your question in front of everybody, you're free to schedule a free consultation with me. It might also be with Andy, my husband, or with Allison, the company owner. Just depends who comes up when you register for your consult. These are over Zoom. They usually take about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on your questions. And then we do also go over how we work and what we charge as a company. So I'll leave this up as I wrap up the rest of the questions. You can use the QR code. You can call or email the office. That's the numbers there. Or you can call or email me directly and I can set up your free consultation. We do get credit for setting appointments, so I'd be happy to set that up for you if you'd like. All right, I'm going to let you contemplate that while I get to the rest of the questions in the chat box. And if you have something to ask, please get it in there. What was it that I said before about the second parents adding to the child's SSI or SSDI? Okay, and is the special needs trust rule different for SSDI? Okay, so let's go through it one more time. When your child turns 18, they should be able to qualify for SSI, Supplemental Security Income, based on the fact that they are pretty much unable to work and they have a disability that is keeping them from work. And they don't have income, they don't have assets. So they're going to get SSI when they turn 18. The full amount that they can get is $967, and it also comes along with Medicaid. So in a perfect world, your child will get SSI for several years and they'll have their Medicaid. Then, when you as a parent are in your late 60s and you turn on your Social Security retirement benefits, when you turn on your benefits, you're also going to tell the Social Security Administration to turn on benefits for your child. That benefit is called SSDI, or disabled adult child, or childhood disability benefits. When your child gets that benefit, their SSI will turn off because the new benefit will probably be more. And then they'll keep their Medicaid. And then after they're on that benefit for 2 years, they will also be eligible for Medicare. So once you turn on your retirement, or if you become disabled and you turn on disability benefits for yourself, or if you pass away, all of those things will trigger your child getting benefits based on your work record. They're going to get that benefit for the rest of their life. So it's important for you to maximize that benefit. And that's one of the things that we do is we help families maximize all of the benefits that you can possibly get and make sure that you're using them correctly, that you're getting the most that you can, and that your child will be taken care of for the rest of their life. That's what we really focus on here at Consolidated Planning Group, or CPG if you want to abbreviate it. So that is all that I have for you today. And I don't see any more questions in the chat box, and we're almost to 1 o'clock. So, oh, and the second parent. Um, so when you're talking about the second parent turns on their Social Security, the child can go under whichever parent has the higher benefit, but you can't get both. You still would only get one. Now, if there are step parents involved, because it's possible, I had 4 parents. I had mom and dad, they got divorced, they each got remarried. Now you have 4 parents whose Social Security benefits a child could possibly draw from, but they can only draw from one at a time. Whoever turns on theirs first, and then your child could switch over to whoever has the highest benefit. I'm sorry, Krista, that I didn't get your exact question the first time, but hopefully I've got the details now. Okay, so go ahead and schedule your free consultation. Some of you I know I've seen before, and some of you we've already had your consultation. And I know some of you are on the calendar already, but if you're not, I promise we don't bite. I promise our first goal is to answer your questions, and then we'll talk about about how we work and what we charge and the financial planning services that we offer. All right. I look forward to hearing from you all, and I want to thank you so much for spending the time with me today. Kara, again, thank you for Williams School being a part of today's presentation and giving us that information. And I hope we get to work with you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Rochelle, for having us.
All right. Everybody have a great week and keep in touch. Bye-bye. It's been a pleasure talking with you today. Thank you, Krista.